game fans, it's PrinnyCast Roundtable, and we're back in action with some no baloney take on the dramatic heebie-jeebies going on this week. Capcom used to be the bee's knees, but in recent years they've been one heck of a palooka, and it looks like it's catching up to them as we discuss the latest. And is YouTube planning to take musicians on a ride? Is this a grand musical caper, or is everything just ducky? So let's put on your glad rags and hop in the old jalopy. Our show starts now.
Welcome to the PrinnyCast Roundtable, casual weekly show where we talk about what we've been up to and the various gaming-related stuff over the last week. Thankfully, no E3 this week. That was exhausting. We're your hosts. I'm Chris. This is Grover.
Hello.
Over here's Mike.
Hello.
Ooh, it's going all very white over here.
Hello.
And Edna's with us, chatting with us through text messages down there. And, you know, when I started with that introduction, it was supposed to be all 1920s, but there's just something about my radio announcer voice that leans to Casey Kasem. And after his death this last week, I'm kind of hoping nobody takes offense at how that came off.
That did sound really Casey Kasem somewhat.
If anything, if you have to see Casey Kasem and that mess of a skit, just think of it as an homage, okay? And that's that. So what have we been playing this week? Let's start with you, Mike.
Not really a whole lot, to be honest.
One of those weeks.
Yeah, pretty much the same stuff that I've been playing, but I did get Aliens Colonial Marines in there.
No!
I've recently become a fan of the Alien series. I really like the movies. I had seen them before a long time ago, but it was at a point where I didn't really care about stuff like that. I probably just watched it because someone else did. It was like, whatever. And I watched it again recently after getting the anthology on Blu-ray. Really like them. So I decided to go ahead and give Colonial Marines a chance, and it's not that bad so far. I mean, honestly, the atmosphering in it's really, really well done. It's got that atmosphere. We'll just see how well the gameplay holds up. I've not played it near enough to give any kind of judgment on that yet.
I have to wonder if it's not one of those games that had too much expectation for it to be really good, and it was just kind of eh.
It had an awful lot of lofty promises made.
And I know it has a lot of glitches and AI issues. It's kind of on par with that Star Trek the movie game from a while back.
Ah, yes, I remember that.
What the giant Mr. Spock head!
But yeah, I mean, other than that, I haven't really been playing that much. I'm trying to think, because I feel like I'm leaving something out, and I can't think of anything.
Xbox, surely your little snippets of WoW's in there, but...
Yeah. Oh, it was on Steam. It was multiplayer Worms.
Oh.
Worms!
Worms. Worms Clan Wars, which was a incredibly buggy mess. The controller support, which is very laughable that they say they have full controller support when it doesn't work with a damn. That was laughable. I ended up going back to Worms Revolutions after that.
Yeah, Worms Revolution is awesome.
That one was given to me by a friend so that we could all play together, and that's kind of how that one went, so yeah.
There's a lot of those games that we've gotten to play together, and we just never did, and we're not the only group either. I have like 20 games now that people gave me and I never played.
Yeah.
Speaking of which, what have you played this week?
I played a bunch of Final Fantasy XIV as I'm doing crafting jobs and getting up my Paladine first because I'm sick of doing healing. Then I played some Mario Kart 8. I can't play very much because it's not really my system, and there's a monotonous, annoying kid that if you don't play the character he likes when it's his turn, he quits the race and goes to the title screen and gives you the character he wants. So no, that's not going to happen. Yeah.
That's pretty lame.
Then I played Tropico 5, and they're doing a really good job breaking their game with patches.
So it's getting worse.
Yeah, it's getting way worse. 1.02 crippled the game and made it virtually unplayable. And they quickly released 1.03, and I honestly don't even want to touch it because, once again, all my missions are screwed, and there's nothing I can really do but restart once again. So they're doing a really good job at pissing me off, and that's all I've really played.
Well, some Congregate, a little bit of Dynasty Warriors. It makes for a nice little stress reliever to comically smash through like several hundred warriors with weaponized yo-yos and 15-foot battle axes. Also, tiny bit of a Desuri indie title called Song of Mirren. Mirren. Kind of like a Atari Diablo or something. My usual Tynan, and Tynan had a really bad day yesterday between a whole bunch of drama and a particularly damaging server-side issue with Tynan's service provider that messed them up for pretty much half the day on one of the most important days of the week for them because, you know, I have a lot of these Facebook games have these timers where you have to wait for something to complete. I mean, most all of them do it. Well, that's the way they do with a blacksmith and a talonting system. And on every Thursday, they quarter that time. So everybody saves up all of their gems, or, you know, their Farmville cash, if you will, to use on those days. And when half the day is missing, that ticks people off.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that was fun. And then more on the RPG Maker. Not as much as I would have liked this week, but, you know, things must be done besides goofing off all the time. But still, a small amount of progress I made was more on, like, the sprite sheet of into things. With the exception of I got a working bank system going pretty well. For doing my test maps to be more streamlined, which turned into a mess because of the map numbering system that you cannot see. You have to guess. I do not like that about VX Ace, and probably VX2.
No.
And I also got me a little extra currency system, so I can use more than just their standard gold system for things like, in this case, I'm going to have research, so that you put some of your characters into the specific group whose only purpose is to develop new technologies for you. So the more of them there is, and the longer time you have them, the more research points they make. And eventually you use these research points. I don't know if I'm going to do it automatically or put it in like a store where they're going to unlock new stuff for you. So I've got that working. I just don't know where to take it yet. But there's that. And you can get Peggle for free on Origin right now as part of EA's ongoing promotions this year. And of course, the massive Steam summer sale is officially underway until June 30th with all kinds of crazy sales.
Yay, and I have no money, you bastards.
Yeah, you were saying, why did they have to do it the middle of the month?
They always do it. They always do it. Every year it's in the middle of the month. I just expected it.
I thought they did it in July, though. Could have sworn.
They did do it in July one year.
Yeah.
It's just completely random.
Maybe they have something else cooking. There's a joke in there somewhere. Anyway.
Maybe they have something else on the steamer.
Oh.
Oh.
And to our topics, go forth. Something less game news than usual, so it won't be in the game news video, but still worth mentioning. YouTube is literally blackmailing independent bands that don't sign up with their new Me Too streaming system. It's kind of similar to Spotify, which, when you consider Google Play already exists and Google owns YouTube, that's kind of a flag right there. But yeah, less than pleasant contract situation regarding pay tiers and competition with other groups, and several other strong-arm tactics that YouTube is making, so that it's making the independent labels not want to sign into all this stuff. And YouTube says you'll do it, or we will outright take away the videos that you have on your accounts now.
Yeah, they're quite literally saying, use our publisher or you're being taken down.
Pretty much.
So they're basically asshats, basically.
Mm-hmm.
It seems like an ongoing thing that Google is just really going downhill lately. And we aren't just talking about nobody people like, me as a musician. We're talking people like Adele and Radiohead, along with a bunch of people I've never heard of who are under the publishing labels of XL Recordings and Domino. So these are people know about. These aren't unknowns exactly. All in all, though, like most YouTube messes, this will likely quietly go ahead with a little more scrambling and yelling and commenting for a few more weeks, and then everybody will seem to pretend to forget it ever happened, just like it always does.
The American way.
So, I don't see them actually going through with this banning stuff. I think it will give Google an already worse name than they've already got, and I think they're inching really close to being in, like, EA territory at this point.
Yeah, they're what's funny is Amazon's walking in that territory now, too. Amazon is one of the writer-publisher systems. Basically, in a couple more weeks, you will not be able to get any form of Harry Potter, including ebooks, on Amazon because the contract with the publisher is ending. Amazon won't agree to the publisher wants books to be higher prices, and Amazon's like, no.
I didn't know Amazon would set stuff like that, but I guess after they've sold it for so long at a certain price, people have expectations now.
Mm-hmm.
I used to be getting this cheaper. Why can't I get it cheaper now? You're trying to rip me off, Amazon. It's not our fault.
It's not us at all. It's the publisher.
And vaguely relatedly to the YouTube thing, after all this time of near silence since Phil Fish's infamous rantings and ravings put Fez 2 in a grave before it was finished, he went on a new tirade, and I quote, "If you generate money from putting my content on your YouTube channel, you owe me money. Simple as that. If you buy a movie, are you then allowed to stream the entirety of it publicly for people to watch for free? No, because that's illegal. Systems are in place to prevent that. But buy Fez, put all of it on YouTube, turn on ads and make money from it, and that's totally fine. And the developer should in no way be compensated for their work being freely distributed to the world? Right, that makes sense. Okay, part of me actually agrees with him. He makes a valid point there, but the other part of me still thinks he's a raving loon.
Yeah, I go as the raving loon side.
For one thing, games are an interactive experience where movies are not. They are something you watch. So you are putting all of the content, not just part of it, when you're talking about streaming or YouTube or the like. It would be the same with music. But video games being largely something that you actually partake a part of, I don't know. It seems like a totally different monster to me, even though there are plenty of games like Beyond Two Souls that are almost not playable games. They're something else.
Big rig truckers.
Oh, well. That's a completely different subject there.
Music.
But here's our main topic I want to get into. And as folks know, Capcom is to me what Nintendo is to Mike or Maxis is to Grover. Sometimes I love them to pieces. Sometimes I'm frustrated with the utter stupidity they built us with.
Sometimes I would have punched them in their heads.
Well, first was the announcement that not long after E3 closed on the weekend and the weekend column had come, Yoshinori Ono, producer of producer of Capcom's fighting games of late, was resigning from Capcom Vancouver, where he'd been taking a part of the Dead Rising 3 team. No doubt the crazy DLC mentioned at E3 was largely his doing. But there was a panic that the eccentric game maker was leaving Capcom altogether, but that's just not the case. He's moving on to a different group, and there's some hype in the fighting game scene that it's going to be the start of a new fighting game because the people he's gathering and all the stuff he's been saying lately. But then just after that, a bigger bombshell, the likes of which are even deeper than what we heard Nintendo say not so long ago when it was talking about mergers and takeovers, that the timing was right for them. Capcom's shareholders have removed all safety nets for mergers and buyouts for the company, which is kind of a sign that things are as bad as people feared over there, because this could be a good thing for a company or a bad thing for the company if something would actually happen, because it's going to give it new structure. It would hopefully help some of the awful decisions of late be put into other hands who's more capable.
For Kaiser to go completely bankrupt.
Yeah, it could mean mirrors of other past takeovers like Square with Taito or Microsoft with Rare. And worse yet, few companies are doing well enough to even entertain acquisitions right now, except for Sony, Microsoft, and Nintendo. And even Sony with its failing TV division, and Microsoft with the closed doors of how the Xbox is really doing, and it's pretty clear despite their secrecy, and the far from secret problems that Nintendo is having with the Wii U, I don't know if they would want to take the risk right now, because that's a big investment, despite Capcom being what they are.
You put Mega Man and Street Fighter on a Wii U, though, you'll get buyers.
Oh yeah. As far as I know, no company has actually stepped up to the mention of interest that I'm aware of so far, but personally I think Namco Bandai would be a great merger. Not acquisition, but merger.
I can really see Nintendo snatching up Capcom if they had no choice, if they thought they were going to go under. Because Nintendo's doing bad, but even as they are right now, they could run for the next 25 years where they'd start having major issues.
Yeah, their franchises alone, if they would get out of the console business like everybody told them to, they could still survive just fine if they had to go that route. They want to stay in the console, so I respect their decisions for that, because there's still a market for that. It's just the market has not treated them well lately because of the way they've done things. If they could make the right console, then they'd have the right buyers. And they've done pretty well for themselves with handhelds. But we can't count out that Disney would be up for buying Capcom either.
Yeah,
because
been making a lot of purchases.
Quite a acquisition spree, if you will, with Marvel and LucasArts, and I think there was something else. And Capcom's ridiculously strong list of franchises and talent could give them a very quick edge in the gaming field that they've been looking to expand into. So, not to mention, ironically, full control over future of Marvel vs. Capcom games.
Quick, make a remake of Breath of Fire 1.
There you go.
Capcom back on top.
Actually, sadly, no. They made a mobile version for Breath of Fire at least 6. Well done. Because we know, actually, it is true. The mobile market is really huge for RPGs right now. I was about to slam it, but I got to thinking, no, most of the really good old school kind of RPGs that aren't like being made from RPG Maker are being made for mobile right now. And I guess that's all I've got. I still have all my E3 notes. I need to get rid of those. That's like 2 pages worth right there. So yeah, going to be some interesting, if not scary times for Capcom. But you know, this is just the shareholder saying, okay, we've opened the floodgates. This does not mean anything's actually going to happen. So,
who knows? I just thought about EA grabbing Capcom.
Square could do it too.
Yeah, I'd rather Square than EA.
Activision. And actually, Activision has probably the most money out of everybody we've mentioned outside of Disney. But
That's true.
I don't know. They don't seem like the site that would go after Capcom. It's just not their market, really. Or maybe it is, since Capcom's been desperately trying to get into the Call of Duty thing. Hence why Resident Evil 6 did what it did. They'll learn.
Sadly.
Maybe.
Hopefully. I guess that's our show for this week. Thankfully, it's not going to sprawl over the next 6 days like last week's. Follow us at Twitter at PrinnyCast, and you can contact us with email at PrinnyCast@gmail.com, and you can send your hate mail to PrinnyMike@live.com.
I don't think that ever existed, by the way. Just so everybody knows, if you've ever tried to send an email to that email address, I don't think I ever bothered to make it. That's how much I care about hate mail. I mean, it's possible that I made it and I just never bothered to check it. I don't remember. It's been so long.
That's okay. We don't get hate mail anyway. Everybody loves us.
We get no mail.
There's only been 1 or 2 people that's ever hated us. And I think that's good. Because they hated us for reasons that were other than the show.
They hated me for reasons that existed before the show.
Yeah. Anyway, end it. So we'll see you on next. Well, yeah. Wow. Grover just jumped right in there.
Oh, yeah.
I kept forgetting that I had to say bye. I don't know why.
Yeah,